Hey there guys, welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today, we're continuing our offseason plan rebuild videos with the Indianapolis Colts and their offseason plan. If you guys do enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post next. Let's get into this video. Alright, let's start this offseason plan video. Now, they actually have a pretty good amount of money. Their GM has done a pretty good job at the last 3-4 years of not really signing big splashes. But this year, that changes. You have your franchise quarterback. Let's now, spend the money wisely. You kind of invested throughout all these years. So what we're doing is first re-signing Kenny Moore. He had 72 tackles, 3 interceptions, 34 run stops, and 2 sacks this past year. He's the best corner on the team. He's one of the best slot corners in the league, actually. He was number 2 in tackles for cornerbacks. He's a great player to build with on his defense. He is 29 years old, but he's still proven that top-end talent in the league that any team would sign immediately. So let's just keep him in Indianapolis. Gave him a 3-year, $48 million deal, $28 million guaranteed. That is 60% guaranteed for Kenny Moore. Why you already cut Shaquille Leonard last season. Why would you just move on from a guy that is proven to still be at the top of the league in talent? Keep him in house. Keep this defense going. Try and start winning some games in that AFC South. Then we re-signed Michael Pittman. 109 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Obviously, you'd like to see those touchdowns go up. But when Anthony Richardson kind of got hurt, this season was supposed to be over. But they were able to, keep that season alive till week 17. And I really do think that Michael Pittman was a big part of that. He's a good number 1 wide receiver for the team. He's still only 26 years old. He'll be a high-value free agent. And I think he's going to get this exact same contract from any other team. I don't think he's taking a hometown discount. I think he wants to get paid. And he is very vocal about how he thinks of himself as a number 1 wide receiver. I think his play backed that up. He's the type of player you've been saving cap for all these years. You drafted him, you developed him. Now you spend the money on him. I did give him quite a lengthy contract, but I'm going to explain why it's so much money. I gave him a 4-year, $143.5 million. I mean, a 5-year, $143.5 million deal that is just shy of $100 million guaranteed at $99.5 million. That is 70% guaranteed. So yes, it looks like a lot of money, but it's only 28.7 averaged out. Now, yes, right now it is number 2 money just behind Tyreek Hill. But let me share you some names that are about to get signed to new deals and this season and next offseason of young wide receivers and old wide receivers that are about to get new contracts that I think are going to become the number 1 highest paid wide receiver to where his contract looks like a steal. Let me say some of their names. This offseason alone, we have T. Higgins, Mike Evans, right? Those are the other 2 big wide receivers. Next offseason, though, you have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, potentially Brandon Ayuk. Like, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wide receivers next season that I think are going to get paid more in this contract. And this year, Mike Evans and T. Higgins might get paid more as well. So let's just say right now he's number 2 as of this video recording. He'd be number 2. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide receivers I think are all going to be beating each other constantly for number 1 wide receiver money. He'll become number 11. Tyreek Hill number 10. Those are 9 guys I see getting paid more than both of them this season and next season. So this contract will be the number 11 contract. And I think that's a pretty good steal for what Michael Pittman can develop into with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Yes, again, it is 28.7 million averaged out, which right now is number 2. But after those guys get extensions and sign with new teams, he's become number 10, number 11 in 1 year. So I think it's worth it right now. You've been saving the cap for all these years. Keep the number 1 wide receiver in town. Then the next contract we're giving out is Julian Blackmon. 74 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 30 stops. He's a great safety that's really developed for you guys. He's another bookend in that secondary who's played really well. Lower guaranteed due to contract year boom. He gets that first year, $14 million fully guaranteed. But again, the first 3 seasons, he was fine. 4th year, he boomed. Is he going to keep up that play when he gets his money? Because every single player always booms in their contract year. And a lot of them, it flutters out. So I decided, let's give him a contract, but lower the guarantees, but he gets that initial money up front. He showed versatility in the safety room at strong and free safety. Gave him a 3-year, $45.5 million deal, $22.6 million guaranteed. Only 50% of it is guaranteed. But almost all the guarantees are up front. Then as that contract, feathers out, he gets less and less money guaranteed. You can cut him, trade him if he doesn't actually work out. Then the last re-signing from the team I'm going to be doing is Zach Moss. He had 793 yards and 5 touchdowns this season. He's a great tandem back for Jonathan Taylor, and when Jonathan Taylor wasn't playing, Zach Moss is putting up 100 yards a game. Showed he can carry an offense when needed. He's the lightning to Taylor's thunder, which I think if he re-signed and they were under contract for another season or two, they'd be the number one, running back duo in the league, because both of them can be number one running backs wherever they're at. You can help Anthony Richardson out. What you need is a strong run game with Anthony Richardson, because while AR needs to learn to pass more, his legs are still a weapon you need to use, and having Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor in that backfield with him is going to help him out. Gave him a 2-year, $9.5 million deal, $6 million guaranteed, 63% of it is guaranteed. Then moving on to cuts/trades, it is around $2.4 million. This is because I accidentally did not add in the Zach Moss contract when I took the screenshot, and I already deleted the tab, right? So I don't know how much it would be. They'd probably be a little bit at around $1 million, maybe even in the negatives. But with the first cut, it won't even matter. Mo Alley Cox is my first cut. 13 receptions for 161 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's one of the longest tenured Colts, that's why I don't see this happening really. The position group is now crowded. You have Jelani Woods, you have Eric Ogletree, you have these young tight ends that you want more playing time. So Mo Alley Cox getting paid $6 million to be tight end number 3. Not okay. You save $6 million cutting him. It's an unfortunate part of the business. I love Mo Alley Cox as a culture guy, and I do think they could bring him back post-cut for cheap. Like maybe they cut him for $6 million, they re-sign him for $2 million, and be that culture guy. I just don't see him staying on this roster for $6 million. And the next guy, exact same reason with Mo Alley Cox, Ashton Doolin. He missed all of the season due to injury. He saved $3 million cutting him. Another unfortunate part of the process of the business. You can replace his production with a rookie, which sucks because he was a UDFA with the team for 5 years. Again, same thing with Mo Alley Cox. Maybe you cut Ashton Doolin, re-sign him for the league minimum. Maybe you cut Mo Alley Cox, re-sign him for the league minimum. Have him as culture guys, as vibe guys, so they're still in the league, still on the team. But you can save $3 million cutting Ashton Doolin, $6 million cutting Mo Alley Cox. That's $9 million to get back, which I see as more valuable than having these guys on the roster, as at that cap number. Then with restructures, I'm going to restructure Quentin Nelson and Braden Smith. They're the only 2 really high-paid players that I see being on this team for the next 2 years. So you make $18 million of cap space doing those restructures and those cuts. You're up to $30 million in free agency. And the first sign I'm going to be doing is David Edwards from the Buffalo Bills. With the Bills, he had 82 PFF grade, 63 pass blocking, 81 run blocking. He had a pretty solid year. He was a 6th man on that offensive line after signing a 1-year deal with the Bills, after being a starter for the Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl run. He had the chance to start and get paid with the Indianapolis Colts. He can help AR stay healthy, because a lot of that pressure that generates that got him hurt and made him run is from the interior of the offensive line. You can beat out Will Freeze for that starting right guard spot. So I decided to give him a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. You guarantee about 5.5 of it. About 68% of it is guaranteed. And he can come in, start immediately for you, and he's just going to be better. Your floor gets elevated with David Edwards over Will Freeze. Then the next sign I'm going to be doing is Ryan Tannehill. This season, Ryan Tannehill had 1,600 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. He's a vet option for Anthony Richardson to learn from. I think Ryan Tannehill is what Anthony Richardson needs to turn into. Ryan Tannehill, when he was younger, used his legs a lot more than he did when he was older. He wasn't the fastest guy, but he used his legs smart. And he turned into a pretty solid passer with the Tennessee Titans. Had 3 or 4 years where he was just one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He has experience in high-pressure games. He made an AFC Championship run in 2019. He can start if injuries hamper Anthony Richardson again, and I would feel comfortable with Ryan Tannehill and the Shane Steichen offense starting and being pretty successful. So I just give him a 1-year, $4.5 million deal. I think Gardner Minshew is going to get poached by a team who needs a quarterback, who they want a younger quarterback to run the offense, kind of like Baker Mayfield. I just think that he's going to get poached by another team. So Ryan Tannehill is going to get cut. He can come over to Indianapolis Colts, and I do see him helping Anthony Richardson learn when to slide, when to not run, and use his arm more in certain situations. Then the next sign I'm going to be doing is Daquan Jones. He had 7 tackles, 3 sacks, and 9 run stops this year. He's a solid veteran option to replace Grover Stewart, who he did let walk in free agency. He's cheaper than Grover Stewart would be. He played very well in his rotation role in Buffalo, and he helped Is it Adebawale develop double A's that you drafted last year. You help him develop when you had Daquan Jones come in, show him the ropes of, hey, me and DeForest Buckner, we've been around the league, we know how to be successful. here's how you can get your niche in this defense. Say, I mean, you sign for $5 million. Again, Grover Stewart is probably going to be $15-18 million a year. I think you can get about the same production out of Daquan Jones and, in company in that rotation room. Then another sign I'm doing was Greg Dortch. He had 24 receptions, 280 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's a really good depth wide receiver. I don't see Greg Dortch return to Arizona unless Kyler Murray calls him and says, no, I want Greg Dortch. He's one of Kyler's chain-moving wide receivers. He's played with mobile quarterbacks. He knows how to get, to when the route is breaking down, how to get open. He gets open on scramble drills. That's what I'm thinking of. The scramble drills, he knows how to get open, and he's done it for a mobile quarterback. I think Anthony Richardson could really need a guy who knows how to play in those scramble drills. And no one knows scramble drills like the Arizona Cardinals. So I signed Greg Dortch for $2.5 million deals. For a $2.5 million deal. I believe the Cardinals have $1 million tender on him. So you can sign him for 2.5 and kind of beat out the Cardinals on their tender. Then the last signing is Oren Burks from the 49ers. He had 31 tackles, an interception, 19 run stops, and a sack this past season. He's a really solid rotation linebacker. He can earn a starting job in Indianapolis because, once they cut Shaq Leonard, you have Zaire Franklin, you have EJ Speed, and they didn't really have another option. They just kind of ran a rotation of guys out there. He's a really good run stuffer. I see this is the starting lineup. You have Speed at weak side linebacker, at will linebacker, Zaire Franklin at Mike linebacker, and Oren Burks at Sam linebacker. Weak side, middle, strong side linebacker. Those would be a really solid linebacker rotation core of those. Like, none of these 3 guys are superstar players, but they all play their role to where they can be a superstar core, if you know what I'm talking about. Then it comes to the draft. You have $14 million if you still want to sign some depth tackles, some depth tight end, a depth running back. You can, but you want to save as much money as you can for the draft because I'm going all in this draft. I'm doing everything I can to make this team win the AFC South next season. And at pick 15, I grabbed Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. Just drafted him recently for the Raiders. Brian Thomas is climbing up my board. I think the Colts could really use a guy like him. He's one of the best deep threat wide receivers in college, as you guys know. He has massive potential to be a number 1 wide receiver in the league. Alec Pierce hasn't been what he's been hoped to be when you drafted him in the 2nd round. You still keep Alec Pierce around, but Brian Thomas is an A-plus version of what you're hoping to get out of Alec Pierce. You have the hands, big body receiver in Michael Pittman. You have the slot receiver who has high upside in Josh Downs. Then you have Brian Thomas, the deep threat, the go-get-him guy on the sideline. And him and Alec Pierce can be that role, but Brian Thomas is the clear number 1 starter. And again, has upside to be the number 1 wide receiver. 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns this year, 17 yards per reception. This dude is built to be a wide receiver 1, but in this Colts offense can help spread the ball out even more. Then Anthony Richardson just has more weapons to go to as well. Then I picked 46. I grabbed Mekhi Wingo out of LSU. He's an awesome all-around D tackle. Again, we let Grover Stewart go, so you have Adebaware, who can be a D tackle, edge rusher mix. Then you sign Daquan Jones. You bring in Mekhi Wingo to be that pure D tackle to replace Grover Stewart. I think you can start week 1, but I think you'd rather start Daquan Jones. But I think Mekhi Wingo has the upside to start week 1. He's a good run defender, solid pass rusher, continues Indianapolis' strategy of drafting these athletic defensive linemen and developing them. For example, Kwity Paye was more athlete than football player. He's developed pretty nicely. Adebaware is more athlete than defensive line player. He's going to develop hopefully nicely. Grover Stewart was more athlete than D tackle. He developed like this. I can't remember the name of their GM, but he likes to draft athletic defensive linemen and develop them in the pass rushers, in the run stoppers. And they've shown a history of doing it accurately and successfully. So I don't see why Mekhi Wingo, an athletic freak at D tackle, can't go to the Colts and succeed day 1. Then in the 3rd round, I grab finally a guard, Christian Mahogany out of Boston College. Christian Mahogany, bounce back season post 2022 injury, which sidelined him all season. He can start at right guard potentially day 1. Him, David Edwards, and Will Freeze can all battle for that guard spot. He's good at pass blocking, good at run blocking. And Boston College, man, the last 2-3 years, they've developed pretty solid offensive linemen. Obviously, the most recent hit is Zion Johnson. I don't see why Christian Mahogany in the 3rd round can't be another hit. But I love Zion Johnson, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember watching Christian Mahogany. Like, I don't remember his name popping out at me when I was watching Zion Johnson film. But I do remember that Boston College offensive line being pretty solid. And if he was on that film, which I guess he wasn't because he missed all of last year. But he started in replacement of Zion Johnson, and he played pretty darn well. So I don't see why Boston College can't produce another starting level offensive lineman. And the Indianapolis Colts love these guys who are good at run blocking, good at run defending. I mean, run blocking and pass blocking, and developing them into elite at run blocking and pass blocking. Then at 117, I grabbed J.D. Bertrand. Seems like a Colts linebacker. Plus, you get to keep him in state. Obviously, Notre Dame to Indianapolis. He had 41 tackles. He's a good pass rusher. Needs to work on not letting passes get behind him. He allowed a 60% completion percentage, and he only got targeted 28 times. 21 of 28 times allowing a catch. Not great, but he needs to develop that part of his game. He has a good frame at 6'1", 233, though. Ideal linebacker size is probably around 6'2", but, he's a little shorter, good weight, good athleticism. I see J.D. Bertrand maybe not starting for them year one, but definitely year 2, year 3 becoming a rotational, starter for them. Then at 153, I grabbed Jordan Jefferson, another athletic freak at D tackle. Jefferson, let me get down to my notes about him. Jefferson is a depth D tackle as of right now at both A gap and B gap. But if you want to move on from DeForest Buckner in the future, I can see a world where Mekhi Wingo, Jordan Jefferson, Adebaware, all these guys make up for the movement of the veterans that they've let go. He's serviceable at everything. More athlete than football player. Again, Indianapolis loves drafting those athletic more than football player guys and developing them. He's 6'3", 317 with even more muscle to add. So he could be 6'4", 335, 20 pounds more of muscle if we're being real about it. He could be an athletic monster at D tackle, and I do see that upside. That's why he's in the 5th round. I see the upside, but not year one. Then at 193, a depth corner at Marcellus Dial out of South Carolina. Man, Marcellus, he's a great press man coverage guy. And from what I remember, watching the Colts this year, they're more of a zone defense, so maybe that wouldn't really work. But I think Marcellus Dial is a really good press man coverage guy. He played/started all the last 3 years in college. He's never going to be the cornerback 1 for a team, but I see the potential of a pairing of cornerback 2 or 3. A guy who comes in for certain packages, or a guy who could even start opposite of a really good corner, and he kind of funnels out the wide receiver 2s and 3s is what he covers. He has the measurables at 6 foot, 195, and he only allowed 52% completion percentage the last 3 years, which in the 6th round is really good. Then at 235, the last pick of the draft is J.J. Weaver out of Kentucky. He has a great pressure rate and QB hurries this past season, and honestly the last 2 years. He can be a rotational edge rusher. He's not really athletic, which is why I don't know if the Colts would take him in the 7th round. He's 6'5", 240, which is the ideal edge rusher size in today's NFL. Never a great game this year, but never had a bad game. He was just a mediocre player all year. It's probably more of a special teamer, rotation guy. I don't see him developing into a starter, but I could see him maybe getting 3-4 sacks a year, 10-15 hurries, and maybe a couple of run defending stops. But out of the 7th round, if you can get that, you'll take it 10 out of 10 times every single day. But yeah, again, not my favorite mock draft. I'm going to get Brian Thomas Jr. for this offense, Mekhi Wingo, Christian Mahogany, J.D. Bertrand. Those 4 guys are either starters or potential starters. Jordan Jefferson and Marcellus Dial are developmental picks. And J.J. Weaver maybe can develop into something, but I see him more as a rotation guy at best. But if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, I mean, honestly, not my favorite rebuild I've done, but with what I was given, I feel I did get them in a better spot than they are now. Again, I probably would bring back Mo Alley Cox as that culture guy. He's been with the team for 7 or 8 years now. I don't see why you'd want to mess that up. But for $6 million, man, you got to move on from him. And again, that Michael Pittman contract is very expensive right now, yes. But just this offseason and next, there are 9 guys I think will get paid number 1 wide receiver money. And that would then make him 10, 11, 12, 13th highest wide receiver contract. But if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Hit notification bell to be notified when I post next. Anthony Richardson, I hope he can come back healthy. I love Anthony Richardson. But I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.